Lisa Green. Second. Paula Deal. All in favor? Aye. All those who oppose?
Does everyone have the September 2014 financial report? It's not there's one mistake, but I can look it over. Do you have any questions?
Need a motion to accept the financial report. Tony Brown. Put a motion to accept the report. Second. Drew. All in favor? Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Jason Lacey, would you report things that are occurring in FOD?
Currently in FOD, well, really everywhere. I think, are you going to get into the power plant stuff today? But
Your partner report.
part of my report is the power plant privatization. I don't know if you guys seen that in the paper. So we've had some lengthy discussions this week about it, but they're looking to privatize the power plant. And that could go for anywhere from 5 guys to 1,500 workers at OSU. So it's a pretty big deal. We're starting that. We just found out Tuesday that they're making an official request to do that. So that's our battle right now. We don't have a whole lot of detail. Like I said, we were just called into a meeting Tuesday evening and told what was going on. So, and then hit the papers Wednesday morning. Other than that, in FOD, that's the main battle right now. I'm just going to let Kevin get into it more here in a little bit. And I'll have some stuff to say about the rep FOD right now.
Tony Brown, when you report out of hospitals, that report seems to occur in the hospital.
Yes, as of last month, I reported about the management trying to schedule training and whatnot during lunch periods. I subsequently filed a grievance, but prior to the grievance hearing, the management, the director, and the assistant directors wanted a quick meeting prior to the said grievance hearing. They agreed to go ahead and pay those members who have already been scheduled during those lunch hours, and agreed to pay those members that were scheduled after. So anybody who has been scheduled for those will be paid the overtime. Those who are currently scheduled for future training during their lunch hours will be paid.
Can you give a little insight as to why that training has been occurred, it occurred during lunch hours?
They basically, the general contractor, Turner, of the new James Cancer Center, they have control over the site. Basically, under their terms, not the hospitals, not our administration. So they say, this is when the training's happening, this is when our guy will be there, make sure you have your people there. Inquiring about it prior to filing the grievance, I basically got the cold shoulders, well, they can just flex their time, and I wasn't buying that. So, once I filed the grievance, they come to terms that they'll have to pay us overtime for our lunches. we would like to report our Secretary of State.
We're still waiting on our implementation of our arbitration award of 5.48%. We don't have any new pending grievances that have been resolved.
As you heard Jason state, and as you heard Tony speak about some of the issues over in FOD, which could be wide ranging, even affect employees in student life, hospital, branch campuses, really anywhere that energy flows in the university, has the ability to impact it. All those who have or touch anything that energy flows through, it has the ability to impact your position. This attempt to privatize the power plant is one that is attracting and has attracted interest of some of the largest companies in America and also around the world. Siemens, AEP, General Electric, many others. The last time we went out, we an initial bid of like $225 million, $247 million up front. We believe this one is more expensive than the previous one. Whoever gets the bid, if they are successful, also wants to be able to control every position that has anything to do with energy. So that's how its impact is spread itself clean across the university. So it's massive. Can't give you each title yet, but what that will eventually look like. Because our intent is to fight this in every way possible. They have a desire to have this actually completed within 12 months. Start taking bids in January. For those who are interested, another phase completed in April. The fourth step phase, another phase completed in July or August, and hopefully whoever wins this sporting event will be able to take off in late December next year, 16th January, I'm at the latest. So we've been making calls and putting together a plan. Spoke about it even in Jewish training. We will say it has the ability to touch really a great deal of our skilled trade employees. MRW 2, 3, 1, electricians, HVAC workers, HVAC workers. If you touch something that energy flows through, they're talking about you. You talked about floors, those who put towels down on floors. So that can get to our carpenters and our pair of shoes and car, reaching, got towel that sometimes used to do even at the stores, they're talking about those positions up there. So it's extremely wide reaching. So we have to do all we can to put together a comprehensive attack to attempt to service it. It's not just bargaining units. It's those who manage them, those who direct them. This impacts both sides deeply. So that's a mindset of the university, our employees, what they're attempting to do. The first thing they stated, I believe in the dispatch, was how wonderful it would be to help them in student services and be able to allow them to do greater research and things of that nature without discrimination. We have to put another step. So it looks good, sounded great. But I don't want to touch it. It is amazing. It is amazing. Next thing I'd like to talk about is really November the 4th. I've been talking about it every meeting. This coming Tuesday. This is one of the most important elections. Anymore, all of them are that way. And it's not the most important election that we had the opportunity to participate in, but really that has occurred really probably in the last 20 years. The reason I believe that, and I state that, because this group, we believe we're re-elected. We begin to further take away our civil rights, our rights for collective bargaining, right to vote. We believe that the attack that will come to collective bargaining will come in many different forms. One of the things about SB 5, and the reason that we were able to turn it around, is because it affected so many different classifications, so many different types of work, the private work, the public work, the private person, the public person, school teachers, firefighters, janitors. It affected so many different people. And they all came together. And the community came together. And we were collectively able to turn that around. But what has occurred since, with all the damaging things that were in SB 5, they placed them in other little deals with them. And if we're not paying attention, we don't know it. We have a great political team later, not only CWA, but to get those languages and to watch how they, the article that says you don't have the right to collective bargaining, or you won't have the right for a 4-hour work week, or other little pieces are wrapped up inside of separate legislation that find its way into the table. And if we're not paying attention, if we don't know how those bills read, we look up and find ourselves, not necessarily SB 5, but definitely bamboozled. It'll be the same effect. And the only way you'll know is if you get involved and pay attention. And so that's how come the political arena is extremely important. And knowing who is voting to do what to you, what's inside of a bill, how it affects you, how did this person vote on it, how do I stop this from moving forward. We talked about CW Triangle. We talked about the CWA Triangle and how representation is the base of that triangle. But we also talked about other two pillars that hold it up. Often as union members, we are so concerned about representation. Who's fighting? Where you been on the job? 17 get me some more money. All I want is some more money, Kevin. That's my favorite line from Kevin to Kevin. I need some money. What about that? What about that down to Tuesday? What about that custodial Tuesday? So we think that that's the primary thing. Triangle uses that as the basis. And the statement says that if you let one of them fall down, it all fall down. And we have it when it's when we engage in the political process, in the labor walkthrough, in the labor phone call. We've been woefully lacking. Well, this weekend, matter of fact, today at 10 a.m., you can lay it on an evening phone. The phone banking is possible. It's coming Monday. You go out to the AFL on Broad Street. Wayne Crawford and I were there Tuesday night to get your VP. I stayed almost 8. Wayne got there early, probably left about half an hour before noon, a little before noon. But that room wasn't full. It was not full. And we need this election. Labor needs this election. We spoke about, they speak about now the drive to get people out to the polls. That's the new slogan in the last couple of days. Get people out to the polls. Get people out to the polls. We're generating flyers saying, get people out to the polls.
Souls to the polls.
That's what it's called. Souls to the polls. And I'm asking you, each and every one of you, you gotta get somebody. And really not somebody. You gotta get somebody to the polls. It's like we don't think anything is going on. They're literally trying to take away, in many instances, it is believed, and it's going down dry, if this would ever happen in America, your right to vote. That'll never happen. Your right to vote. I'm going to get you. But some people are predicting the right to women not to vote. When the time when women couldn't vote, only men vote. If they go back and roll the clock all the way back to that time frame, that time area, we believe that this issue that happens across America is about the right to govern, the right to lead, the right to direct. If you cannot win the vote, you cannot govern. That's simple. They don't believe that they can really win a fair vote. So you got to limit the opportunity to vote. You got to shorten the days to vote. That makes people need voter IDs and special cards to vote. Laws that suppress the vote have been enacted in 17 states across the country. Most of them, exception maybe one, and maybe all of them, like to work states. You gotta see that correlation also, right to work and right to vote. We believe that right to work will be, we believe it will be, that if Governor Casey is elected, one of the first things on his agenda. And the reason that we say believe, and we're not absolutely sure, we believe he has ambition to be the President of the United States of America. And if he's the President of the United States of America, we don't believe that he'll do that while he's attempting to run for the President of the United States of America. But if he's successful in all of those steps, you can bet collective bargaining in America will be destroyed. It's extremely important for us to get souls to the polls, for us to go out to the phone banking, labor walk, at 10, phone banking at 1. It's important. And you need to show up. I'm going to take it, but someone's going to show up. You write down just the CWA, 4501. You'll be given credit. The local will be given credit. The national, the district will be given credit for CWA showed up. They keep calling to see which union put feet on the ground, as they like to call it. I hope that number can go up for us, that we can have a better colleague, and they consider that helping us to fight for our way of life. Since I stated that souls to the polls and great elections are the most important thing, really, that concludes the very report about the next report. And get down to vote. There's nothing more important. Nothing. The judge races, I don't want anybody to get over this. Often we don't speak about that. I've been hollering about Nina Turner and Fitzgerald. Those judge races are maybe more important. Get gunned down by the police. The judge indicts. The judge to let him or her go free. Legislation is at the bargaining table. Stroke of a pen, judge and counsel, down to the State House and the counsel, stroke of a pen. Look at those judge races. Pay close attention to who you put in the judge seat. And I mean that. Close attention, because many of us, we've been the brunt of that. This fair system, we've been the brunt of that. This fair judge, or system that's crooked. You gotta get the right person. You gotta get the right person. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we Court of District Appeal for Franklin County. Her opponent is Betsy Schuster, and as we know from being an employees relations hearing officer, if I'm not mistaken, she always, almost 100% sided with the Ohio State University, and as a appellate judge, I can't ever see her being fair and impartial if that's the way she dealt with the employees here at Ohio State University. So I would like for us to endorse Mary Jo Kilroy for that judge position.
I'll definitely second that. I'll definitely second that.
Okay.
That's it, yes, that's it. We have already endorsed Mary Jo Kilroy. You should be able to get a list or a ballot those endorsed candidates, maybe in the front office, but yes. Mary Jo has been endorsed by labor, also CWA, and we found her to be a friend of labor over the years. And I'll just say thank you in regards to that. Robert. I'm sorry.
David Harris, Ohio Secretary of State's office. Question about the power plant. I know you just found out that they're trying to privatize this. Any allies that you might have besides just the union fighting them?
Well, we believe in the effort that has been successful around the country is to get those community leaders and civic groups involved. So we'll be speaking to many of those affected who will be affected. And we'll be going through the time questions. We don't want to tell it all, but it has to be a grassroots effort. It cannot be labor by itself. It's impossible for us to move that issue. So everyone who is affected by it, we have to show them how they'll be touched by it. And so let's just say we talked about, one thing we talked about in student training, there's a unit in a rural county in Ohio, I saw employees $18,000 a year. And so all of those community members went to business owners, they went to store owners, they went to talking to teachers, how that disruption at class basically affect their particular business, also revenue, how impactful it would be on the city and community. It's the same thing that we're doing. For all those jobs to be lost, most of our great people live in the only board. Think about it. Talking to not only them, but to the people who really strong fashion.
I was going to say, I don't know how long they're going to have River Boney as far as on 1700 Morse Road. We just have start a River Boney on the weekend sort of thing, right? Yeah. Say that right now. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Sunday. And anyway, either or, I tell you guys right now, those who haven't voted yet, y'all need to hurry up and get down there and get the votes in.
Oh, I voted for him.
I mean, whatever you want to do. What's wrong with that vote? As long as you get your code, that's all that counts.
Now,
I work with a group of neighborhood activists, and we scheduled a meeting this past week with the president, Lord Shue. And the issue concerning jobs that you're asking about, and that coalition that I represent entails legislators, Ocean East, main campus, and politicians and others. It's called a Coalition for Responsible and Sustainable Development. And the issue that I, myself, it was hard to get that meeting with Drake, but we spent about 2 hours. And some of the issues that we confronted him with are community issues. community? What are your concerns? Because, we in the community have issues that impact people's lives. And those issues are serious. And if you're going to really look out for the interest of the community, then jobs are impacted because people's lives are impacted. What are you as a president of a major university? Washington University is one of the prestigious universities. You're been selected to replace Gordon Gee. Gordon Gee's history has not necessarily been good in regard to labor. He outsourced parking, which impacted some 100 jobs. A lot of people can debate whether or not those positions were affected, but yes, it was. It affected 100 positions. That impact is being felt in this union. 100 positions was taken away from them. Not only was 100 positions taken away, I remembered RIO, Reintegrated Organization. Now, in RIO, what happened was, nobody likes to talk about RIO, but it impacted the whole entire campus. Custodians impacted right now, north, south, east, and west. The custodians that work on campus, 70% of those buildings on campus have been contracted out. That impacted positions. Facilities, if you maintain positions either in the medical complex or in north, south, east, or west, the positions that you used to have, contractors have right now. So whether or not you realize it or not, your positions are being outsourced. Dr. Dre, what is your position moving forward as the new president of OSU? Well, people are concerned about that. Each member of this union should be concerned about it. You really should be concerned about it because your job is at stake, whether or not you realize it or not. Every time I come to this meeting and only see 30, 40 people when you have 1,000, 1,500 members, that bothers me. When your job is at stake, and you can't even come to participate, vote, support your union. When I hear that people are not concerned, that the union is not doing anything, my question is, what are you doing?
All right.
What are you doing to make sure that you're at the table when those issues that impact you and your family, whether or not they're in negotiations right now that outsource your job, whether you realize it or not, their bottom line is to save money. You people better wake up.
All right.
You sleep at the table.
All right.
That is Scout there, one of our retired members of the long-standing employees at the university, worked over at FOD for years. And I agree with this sentiment. Calvin has also been an extremely strong history in the community. Fault, Jesus, I context, village piece that OSU had a large hand in, but he decided to run his back on that. Historical significance that I think that but now context of that. In America, for placed in our history, Calvin has been one of the lead proponents in making sure that parts of that have been saved, will remain, always be a part of our history. So it's people like Calvin and that Calvin worked with that he will use as a part of our ground research. Any other questions, Dr. Q?
Was there an outcome to the meeting?
Oh, the meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me we had the radio station, NAACP, yeah. What they're gonna do, they scheduled a meeting with him this week, to do a follow-up. And what we're doing was, that's a schedule, it's called an agenda. You have to have an agenda. What are your priorities? What's important? Now, the reason why Kevin knows this, when you have opportunities to make an impact and speak, let the people know. And the reason why we brought religious leaders together, we brought OSU East. The people, a lot of people don't realize this, but OSU East is connected with the university. And in 2010, going back to 2010, there was it's called a job growth tax incentive. Job growth tax incentive. The city of Columbus gave OSU a 30% tax break. 30 cents of every dollar that OSU is building on these buildings should go to secure your job. You don't have a clue. You don't have a clue if that's happening. Since 2010, you should have created in this union X number of jobs. You've lost jobs. You've lost jobs. Since 2010, you've lost jobs. Prior to Rich Murray passing, I had a meeting with him in after Rick.
Johnson.
You want to ask the question, what was the
You didn't
outcome?
get an answer. I want you to answer the question what happened in
Well, in order to get the answer, first you got to have facts. The fact is, you have not, and we want to confront him about that. Where are those jobs? Where are those jobs and the end result is we'll schedule a meeting this week with Dre to address those issues so that you don't constantly lose. If y'all continue to lose, you won't even have a union. Won't even be a need for a union.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. David.
Yeah, I have about three things I wanted to talk about. One, nobody's mentioned issue 4, and that's the child services levy. It's really important. It's a continuation of an existing tax thing. And we had a successful candidate tonight that we sponsored.
Thank you.
And that's real important because the local's always been, for 7 years or so, it's been behind that. It's a good event where you can meet the candidates. And the best speaker in the whole thing was this impassioned guy that wasn't even from the district, from CWA, and knew about the working class angle of things. Before he spoke, people spoke about neighborhood stuff and business empowerment until this guy got up and spoke. The whole thing became clear when the working class guy got up and spoke from a different district. He wasn't even going for votes. So for me, he pulled the thing together. I also wanted to say about the phone banking. Parts of it are really boring if you go down there, but one of the best parts is they feed you calls on an automated system, and you can figure out how difficult it is to get those calls at home because the computer system is not flawless, and there's time waiting between calls. So I was down there one night when Wayne was down there, and one of the great things about it is you can listen to the other people ad-libbing and getting off script. And Wayne is one of the best guys at doing that. I was eavesdropper on him. He does a fabulous job, and gave me a lot of ideas as I was talking to people as what to say. Most people feel the same way we do about voting. So it's just a matter of getting to the polls and casting your ballot in a way that favors unions and the working class. It's really important to vote. Democrats have a way of not showing up in off-year elections. This year is critical, and everybody should be out and voting. The other thing I'm really glad to hear mentioned here, on top of getting coffee and everybody showing up on a cold day and everything going right in that respect, the flavor of this energy thing that came out in the dispatch on Wednesday was the same as the flavor of the thing when the transportation contracting thing rolled out. They talk about the scholarships they're going to create for students and this and that, so we really have to organize against that to protect our jobs and develop some kind of offense that makes sense at the ground level to people working here at Ohio State. Because like you say, Kevin, it affects a broad spectrum of people. And just recently with the new university president, they've been in an uproar about the culture of the marching band and people getting sexualized nicknames and whatever might have happened there, and they fired a band director.
Well, the culture for workers at Ohio State has changed dramatically. Not just the people who have lost jobs here. The people who have jobs here have had their jobs degraded. Management is not following the contract in the way that they should. August 10th, I suggested we file a CERB board charge against the university to discuss the flavor of things going on at the university, because they are predators with respect to the union and the members who work here, and the quality of jobs and the quantity of jobs and the postings that are happening or are not happening. Those issues are vital, and they're coming up in June. I believe our contract expires on main campus, so we will be negotiating terms in a way that the community could be aware of and that would be useful to this local. Yesterday at work, they brought back one of the lead industrial engineering students responsible for a lot of employee degradation. As the students were used and brought in, everybody in service of the students, that was kind of used to degrade and break down my storekeeper one position and some of the other positions. And now we're being micromanaged and I think over-supervised in a situation that the public could be aware of and we could pursue in bargaining at the ground level. That's a real important part of the CWA triangle, as well as this larger energy thing they're trying to do. It's just a general method of treating workers that the public and citizens need to be aware of. And if they're aware of it in the case of the marching band and the students involved with the marching band, surely they should be aware of it in their job creation here on campus and how they treat workers. That's critical stuff. And I'm glad we're on top of it as a local and thinking about it. I was going to send the link. And I should have, but it sounds like people knew about it before it hit the dispatch here, so that's heartening to know. We're lucky to be in the union. Everybody who doesn't know that should be, like Calvin says, here at the meeting. So, thanks.
Yes, OSU is get donations of $2.5 million. Kevin Elliott. I'm like, and can we attack that? Or people knowing they treating us wrong? The workers.
Still not here.
Like they're treating the workers wrong.
No, you can talk about 2.5
Billion.
billion.
Yeah. It's donation. People donate money to.
You're talking about the fundraising.
Yeah, they're fundraising.
And you want to know can we somehow put out information that might impact that giving?
Yeah.
I would say yes at the moment, but I do believe that as you and we all begin to fight the things that we have to fight, even the negative energy around water affected, those campaign donors. Some of the largest donors are rubber band and things of that nature. Have a real, they probably have one of the largest followings of any group or entity, so I believe that, and that's what sometimes makes them address things, but I believe that campaign donors are affected by negative press and negative things being said about the university. I believe that. Now, can I tell you it affected this many dollars or that many dollars? No. Yes.
As far as, and maybe, and looking at it from the outside, the press regarding the marching band is coming off as if OSU just made this up, and that none of this is really true. Yeah, that's how it's coming off to me, and so they're getting more support, which increases their dollar value, because there's a question about whether or not there actually was a Title IX violation. There probably was. But I don't know, just even based on what I'm reading in the dispatch, it doesn't sound like, to me, being a steward, and what I would have had to have presented, it doesn't sound like OSU did their due diligence before they got themselves in this position. Now they got to backpedal and cover their butt. So it doesn't sound like, that they have really proved their case. But they're stuck with it now, and now they're coming off like, we're going to stand our ground on this one. And we're a firm employer. But it doesn't sound like they proved their case completely, because from what is being presented in the paper. And even understanding that the paper is a right-leaning paper, doesn't sound like those people their case.
The part about them outsourcing the power plant and the whole story with that, the strategy behind that would be the chairs of the research, because like with the parking, when they privatized the parking passes went up. So if they do the power plant like that, then that would mean that research dollars would shrink, because the power plant is steam, but if they start charging the building and the power, then like the parking plant passes, they can go up. I say one of the strategy is that some of those professors have their own union, have their own club, and that's where you would be. But as far as our members are concerned, we should be out in front of, on High Street, holding signs and making people aware of that, and reaching out to these chairs and making them aware that if this happens, that their research dollars could shrink, because that turns the power over to those people that raise the cost.
Well, I would say that your ideal, or some of the ideas that were expressed to management and Thrive, really what Lee has stated is that in order for them to make money, they have to be able to charge money for it to get them into the park. OSU like a bunch of silos. And each silo has someone who directs it, controls its budget, its basic budget, research dollar, how much business is going to cost, how much it's going to cost. We believe that if someone's going to give you $280, $225, $300+ million up front, the only way they can get that money back, even though they're supposed to be conserving energy and going to save OSU money, is they have to charge each of those business entities more than what they're currently making. If you charge them more, and that means they have less dollars to put into their research. But I don't want to keep talking about all that, because as I state, we are taped, and you don't want to talk about everything. That is some of the things. Any other questions? Yes.
During the reports, Paul said there was nothing to report as far as the Ohio Secretary of State's office. Has there been an attempt to make, for us to get our money?
What do you mean by that?
Has there been any meetings with admin, or what's going on? Why are they dragging their feet?
Well, there have been emails been back and forth. We have talked with them. Their representative, Attorney General, has been talking with our attorney, but those answers continue to be the same. No information. Any other questions? Okay. Go ahead.
What is the outcome of the nominations from last month? And is there an actual committee now?
There is a meeting, yes.
And who are the people?
Huh?
Who are the people?
Matt Wyman, Anita Clark, Stephanie Johnson, and Ron, and Scott. Can't do that.
The election going to take place?
Should have been an email sent out to the candidates discussing that last night. Did you get one? So it should be in there, but those questions are really answered by the election committee.
I just want people to know that something has been, that this is moving forward versus being at a standstill.
It is moving forward, but I, as being where I said I'm not allowed to speak for it.
Correct.
So therefore I try not to speak. Leave it on.
Well, with this being an election and there's candidates and information is shared and people's been coming and talking to me, well, I know what to say Monday when I go back to work. But this committee, with us candidates, should put them on the spot because regardless of whatever the bylaws are, us as a group, we should, our members, when they set that out, they should have did something else to communicate with the members just as well. I mean, they already knew ahead of time what their game plan was, but we got all these union members and all these different branches asking questions, and so if they call here at the union hall, what does the union hall say? I mean, what does the, what does the secretary say to the members? I mean, because the information is out there, but it's not being passed, I'm taking it's not being passed around on what's going on.
Well, that email just went out last night that I know it. Office was open, but I'll say it again. That's the election committee job, and I believe it might have could have been done differently. I say it again. I will not speak for the election committee. And we can, especially with the candidate, can put that question to them. You are allowed to do that. And so you can contact the election chair, the information in your email, and ask that question of them in the committee that you just JK. That is
Now they're definitely dragging their feet on it, and while I'm part of the communication team, and communication amongst our members is extremely important.
and legal.
I know.
You can talk to the election committee.
I'll do that.
So who's the chair?
Matt Wiley.
How do, remember, here's my concern. We're in an election fight, city candidate and or governor. The union is in the midst of an election fight. Should not the members, every member of the union, have knowledge of candidate and or the election process? Shouldn't each member of this union know who the candidates are, the campaign cycle, and choice? And if the chair of the election committee is making those decisions as of last night, and the email has been sent out, shouldn't each member of this union know who the candidates are, the campaign procedures are, so that they know who they're going to? I mean, I'm just asking.
No. That's a good information, and they will know. They will not. Well, we had a nomination process once, and every member was made aware of that nomination process and when that day would be. And as you stated, that was then their chance, that was their right to come and find out who was nominated. Mr. Harris, I don't want to speak for the committee. And also, ballots will be mailed out from the election committee with the candidates and everyone. So the committee will do that. The committee will do that. And I don't wish, please do not continue to ask me questions that go to election committee. That's their duty. Yes.
Is there anyone here to represent the election committee?
No.
No,
No.
they didn't, the answer to that is no, they did not.
I think that, in a sense, we're trying to bring it into process just like a bigger election. That there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that we don't see for a national election, for a local election, and things like that. There's due diligence with both processes. And then furthermore, you can always do a public information request when it comes to the bylaws. And that's what Mr. Kevin is stating. The union, everybody part of the candidates and stuff like that are trying to ensure that this process goes off without a hitch, that there's no questions, that it strictly falls to the bylaws. So when we continue to ask the questions to Mr. Kevin, we end up putting him in his back against the wall when we shouldn't. And again, like how he said, those of us that are candidates, we do have those, those contact points and things like that. So on behalf of everybody that's here or our members that we represent as stewards or as candidates, then again, I suggest that we again contact Matt Wyman and ask him when, who, what, where, and how. And I can't say that enough. You have the power to ask for the bylaws so that you can read over the bylaws and see how it's stated, how the process is to go. I have a question. Yes. Is the information on our website for the election team so that members have the opportunity to contact them? Like their email address or something so that members can contact their election team? So they can ask their questions?
I personally don't believe so, but what they can do is call the office on open a business on Monday morning. The chairs and members should be there.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a website, it's called, if you go on the website, www.ivoters.com. And it just, if you put your zip code in there, it'll tell you who the candidates are and what they represent. ivoters.com. If you go on that website, it gives you all the information you need for who the candidates are in your area, what they're running for, and what they represent.
I believe you're confusing the election that we're talking about, the committee right now?
Right, well, I was talking about the general election.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Yes, please.
I'd like to make a statement. Can I make a statement?
You can ask the question. You're free to put your statement in a question.
So this is coming from District 4, right?
What is the this?
What
is the this?
District 4 is over us, right?
Yeah, we are located in this.
How can we change in the future how the District 4 is communicating with our members? Because if District 4 is falling on the heels of with them not communicating, what they're making the members feel is voter suppression. Because in the past, when we did vote, we did it all here in-house, and now, the way it's set up, we have to fill out a form, mail it in, and then it's checked against the membership cards that should be automatically given out, but sometimes it has to be requested. On our Our last voting thing, it was done simple, and if a person came in and voted and they didn't have their membership card, it was dealt right there and then. Now, if a person mills in their vote, and they're checked against the list and they don't have their union card yet, so if they don't have their union card, that means they're voting, whoever they voted for, it doesn't count. So my question is, how can we change the communication between District 4 and local 4501?
Can I have a motion to extend the meeting, please?
I have motion to extend the meeting.
Seconded.
All in favor? All those who oppose?
Wait a minute. Those opposed, please stand so I can get the count. 3.
I'd like to make a motion that Lee Paul contact the Elections Committee with his concerns.
I second that.
All in favor, Lee Paul? All in favor, Lee Paul contact the election committee with his concerns? Aye. That's a quick aye. I second, no, the second was third, and you did third. I don't know.
Who did the second?
There's no way. Roger?
Is that the actual process? If you don't have the card, your vote doesn't count?
No.
Or is it just check to give a list?
Exactly. So, I think we need some clarification at this.
Next committee will answer questions.
Okay, based on what is said in the Bible, okay? Well, I just don't answer that. I just say, based on the information that is in the Bible. I know, but we have not had the contested election, at least it does. I can tell you the last one we had, and that was a very short, very
Go ahead, me. Motion to adjourn.
I second it, third.
After we have the drawing.
Send it to the drawing.
All those in favor of adjourning the meeting and having the drawing, can I get a motion to do that?
I motion.
David, seconded by Tom Brown. All in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It's been passed. Lynn?
Yeah, bring the bucket.
Bring the bucket.
Not the field. No, I still do it. Yeah. Not anymore. I'm ready to hear from that. Not fun. Or I should maybe
Last
offer
week
that
it
I feel comfortable with.
is 580.
Who got it?
Lynn.
All right, go on, girl. Go on, girl.
Kind of suspicious, but
You so funny, Jack. You are funny. Jason, kind of suspicious.
well, I'm holding my ticket right here and it's going to call the number.
You're so funny. Dave, you a pickle. You are a pickle.
458.
Go ahead, girl. All right. Go ahead, girl.
Okay, this one's for Bob Evans brunch.
Oh, yes, and I'm starving.
It's your fault if I don't get it. You gave me this ticket,
I
did you
did.
not?
I did. That's hilarious.
Lemon